The first part of my job is listening, and I listen to the customer. What are their issues? What have they identified as an issue? Having difficult conversations mean listening and then talking.
Welcome to Why Guarantee. Thank you so much for listening. Please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting on today's episode. I'm Chelsea Reber, and today I am joined by Rachel Miner. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So first, tell me, what is your role at Guaranty Bank Trust, and where are you located?
I'm a market president, and I'm currently located in Pittsburg, Texas.
All right, tell me a little bit about Pittsburg. What kind of community is Pittsburg?
It is a small rural community, and it has about 4,500 citizens, 10,000 in the county, and it is about 13 miles south of Mount Pleasant.
Okay, great. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved at Guaranty and what it was like interviewing for the job.
Well, 22 years ago, I actually moved here from Dallas, and I changed industries. And I actually joined another bank, and at chamber meetings, I met a man named Ty Absent, and he and I would speak on occasion, and then one of his best friends mentioned to him that I was unhappy and probably looking for a change. So he approached me one day, and I had an interview, and I came to work for Guaranty.
Was it a pretty interesting stage of life for you during that interview process?
I actually was pregnant with my daughter, and my final interview with Guaranty was 4 days before I had her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we know you're going to go on maternity leave, but we still want you.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And we did. We worked out a plan for that, and I've been here ever since.
So you mentioned you switched industries. Tell me a little bit about what you used to do and what that transition was like for you.
I actually came from the automobile industry, and I managed 15 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. And if you know anything about automobiles and automobile sales, that is pretty much a 7-day-a-week job, all holidays, and as a mom of young children, I no longer wanted to do that. So I was really looking for a change, and banking fit my lifestyle at the time. And Guaranty fit my lifestyle just because of the way that they were willing to take the chance on me. And I had already gotten to know Ty a little bit and realized what kind of person he was, and I respected him.
How has that work-life balance been for you since making that change?
As far as Guaranty, they are very easy to work with. The way I have incorporated is I've actually incorporated my children into some of my work-related in some activities, especially any type of community events, things like that. My children have actually helped participate in them. They have been on our run team, so they have done the 1 mile fun run, and I did the 5K. If we did any kind of community activities, they've actually gone with me and actually participated. So that has been it's been a good example for them.
Visiting with others on this podcast, it seems like community is obviously a very, very core value when it comes to Guaranty Bank. And I can imagine, especially in a place like Pittsburg that is much smaller, it's probably pretty important to have that presence in a place like that.
Well, in community banking, especially in the small rural communities, they know where you live. They attend church with you. They see you at the grocery store. At school, at our children's school, they see you there. So it isn't like they have to call an 800 number and wait for you to call them back. They know exactly where you are.
What's different about how Guaranty Bank manages lending?
We are very consistent about the way we manage our lending. We, during good times, we do not just open up floodgates and just do silly things that you may see other banks do. But customers can also depend on us on very tough times. When there is a recession, when there is a pandemic, those same customers can depend on Guaranty.
What was the toughest loan to get approved that produced a long-term relationship for you?
Actually, I have a current customer. He's a very large customer now. He had actually dissolved a partnership and was actually going out on his own. And he was transitioning during that when he came in with the loan request. It was a gamble, but due to his character his credit, and just his expertise, the type of person he was and the industry he was in. We did take that chance, and it has produced a great customer, a long-term customer.
And we talk so much about how important it is for the client to know their banker, but in a situation like that, it's almost more important for the banker and the bank to know the client and take that kind of chance.
Yes, well, that is part of your credit underwriting is your customer's character and what type of person they are. And then we're also looking to see, how consistent are they? Is their credit clean? I mean, those kind of things. But the character part is a very important part.
We've talked a little bit about Pittsburgh and what makes it unique, especially as a small rural community. What are they doing differently that maybe some other equivalent communities at different banks are doing?
Well, in Guaranty, in Guaranty, what we are doing is we are actually offering products that may not be as readily available to small or growing businesses that other smaller banks. They just don't have it available. I have a customer that notified me yesterday that their parent company, will actually start migrating some accounts over to Guaranty.
Okay.
They decided to go community bank because they wanted that service, but they also picked Guaranty because we have a lot of products available that other smaller banks do not have. We also have the expertise that goes with it. And we have the support as well, the support personnel to go with it.
I've also heard that the smaller bank can still do almost everything, if not everything, that a bigger bank can do. Would you agree with that?
Yes, there's a lot of products, and there's a lot of if it makes sense. Let me backtrack on that. The products that we offer have to make sense not just for the customer, but also for the bank. I can give you a good example of a product that was very popular with large banks that Guaranty decided not to do.
Okay.
And it was reverse mortgages. We felt that was not a product that we wanted to offer customers because we didn't think the customers that were using those products really understood it. And again, because we're in a small community, those families, know us and they trust us. And they have to understand and they have to realize that we are people that are not just offering products for the bank, but offering products that benefit them as well.
For a lot of people, their job is something they do from 8 to 5, and then they go home and they're at home. It doesn't seem like you're that kind of person.
No, community banking is not like that. My cell phone is actually listed on my business card. And so realtors call me, customers call me, and I answer the phone, or they text me. And I'll respond.
We talk about Guaranty Bank, and it is a community bank, but it is still large. And in a big picture, there are branches all over the state. How are you supported from the top of Guaranty Bank down to your small location in Pittsburgh?
Well, we are assigned an executive. And then because I have been at Guaranty for 21 years, I have good relationships with all of our executive team. And even those that are new executives, it's really my responsibility to form those relationships and get to know those executives and be consistent in the bank and in the corporation and continue the Guaranty culture.
Rachel, I'm sure that you have to deal with some customers at very difficult times in their life. Can you share a story about someone who was going through a difficult time and you were able to help him at Guaranty Bank?
I've had customers with liver transplants. I've had customers with premature children. I have had customers with loss of jobs, with loss of health, with death in their family. But I do have a customer that he had a downturn in the economy along with the downturn in his company. So the company was really not performing very well at the time. It was questionable as to whether he would be able to service his debt. We identified the difficult situation, and we had a conversation. And we also had a conversation with him. And when I actually did call him and schedule the appointment, when I got there and started talking about let's figure out an action plan. And let's figure out an action plan for 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, a year. He was actually relieved that I wasn't there telling him, if you can't pay us, we're taking all your stuff, or we're going to close you down. So he actually responded. He and his staff responded. We came up with a plan. It did work. It did require some action on his part. It required some action on our part, but he has done very well. He recovered. We kept a good customer, and I think he kept a good banker.
Was there any pushback from him at any point during those conversations?
He knew that he was in trouble, and he knew it. He just didn't know what to do at that time. And that's why having a community banker is so important, that you can actually talk to them and talk to them freely. The first part of my job is listening, and I listen to the customer. I listen to what are their issues, what have they identified as an issue, what are they thinking about, and then I compare that to what Guaranty thinks is happening and compare those notes. Difficult conversations are not very easy, and a lot of times young bankers or inexperienced bankers actually avoid those conversations. And that is what can actually lead to not just losses financially, but losses with customers. Mm-hmm. Having difficult conversations mean listening and then talking. And it worked out. He's done well. He has recovered, and he's still a customer, and I'm still his banker.
Well, I'm sure those difficult conversations become even harder in a small community because you know these people. They're not just clients. They're maybe your grocer or your little league coach, your neighbor.
Well, the first thing I do is I treat all those conversations private. Mm-hmm. No one will ever know that we've actually had a conversation if he doesn't tell them. If you see me out in the community, I will speak to everyone. And if anyone ever asks, did I know that so-and-so's in trouble? I'll be like, no, I didn't. Or I'll be like, oh, okay. But keeping those conversations private and confidential, that is so critical in a small community, especially when everyone knows everyone. And rumors get out, and there's always a lot of rumors, and you just don't participate in the rumors or the gossip.
Rachel, you've been doing this for more than 20 years. Does anything still surprise you when you go to the office every day?
I will say this. The thing that probably surprises me the most is the senior fraud. I just don't understand the senior fraud. That really, I have a hard time wrapping my head around that. The economic and the business cycles that, 20 plus years, and I have a master's in economics, so it's something I identify with. But senior fraud is something I really have a hard time with, how people can take advantage of older people. And then many times I don't understand how they could fall for it either.
Right.
Because I'm like, no, that's not your nephew. That's been the most difficult adjustment for me, has been the fraud and the elder fraud and elder abuse.
Well, Rachel Miner, thank you so much for joining us today on Why Guaranty.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for listening. Please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting on this episode. If you want to learn more about Guaranty Bank, visit them online at gnty.com. The link is in the description below.